Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moto Mengy channel. If you're new here, welcome for the first time. If you're not new, then welcome back. I have a question for all you viewers. How do you feel about electric motorcycles? EV bikes? Because I've got a really strong feeling that they're coming. Like, I'm not talking live wires and zeros, you know, electric sport bikes with little range. I'm talking about serious electric motorcycles. Bikes with lots of range. Touring bikes, adventure bikes, all kinds of bikes. Bikes that cost less than their gas counterparts do. Now that might sound crazy and preposterous, but I think it's going to happen sooner than any of us realize. Like within the next 5 years sooner. I think the motorcycle market will be full of electric motorcycles that are real viable options for people when they go to buy new motorcycles. Let me give you my reasons why I think that way. Alright, before I ask why I think they're coming in force, let me quickly explain why they aren't here today. You know, yeah, we have live wires and zeros, but they're very limited in scope. You know, they're all sport bikes. They have short range. You know, zeros get a little better range than live wires, but they're not good, especially on the highway. They really are bad on the highway. So the question you have to ask is, why are they so bad today? Why are electric motorcycles only so-so here in 2020? There are three things currently holding back electric motorcycles from being viable. I mean, like really appealing. One is battery tech, two is aerodynamics, and three is economies of scale. Now when you look at those three reasons, I think they're going to be solved in the next couple years. First, let's go into why they're currently issues. One, battery tech. You know, batteries just aren't good enough to give decent range with low cost. The energy density isn't there. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. Batteries need to be better. Much more energy dense. Much more affordable. Much easier to manufacture. All of those need to happen, and it's happening. It's one of the biggest things that's changing like now. I don't know how many of you follow Tesla or stay up to date on them. I'm an investor with Tesla. I own a lot of stock in the company. I'm going to be buying a Model Y for myself in the next year or two. So I stay up to date on all things Tesla. In the beginning of October of 2020, Tesla had an event called Battery Day where they released their new battery design. It's the 4680 cell. It's a revolutionary battery, which is what the industry's been waiting for. It has, you know, 50% plus more energy density, which equals 50% more range. 50% plus, probably. It costs 50% less to manufacture. And Tesla has a method of making these things really freaking fast. Which means these 4680 cells are going to be very cheap, very useful, very energy dense. And this is only the initial version of the 4680 cell. Tesla is going to continually iterate on it, continually improve it. In time, we're talking electric boats in the water, we're talking electric airplanes in the sky, electric everything. You're talking, you know, cell phones you have to charge once a month. And yeah, we're talking electric motorcycles that get good range, usable range at low price. Now Tesla, you know, has this new battery tech. The rest of the industry doesn't yet, but where Tesla goes, the industry follows. So it's only a matter of time now until other battery companies attempt to match or meet what Tesla's doing. For as far ahead as Tesla is today in 2020, the rest of the industry will catch up. But the point is that the EV industry, electric transportation, is on the brink of really taking a generational leap forward in the next couple of years. To aerodynamics. Cars have it easier when it comes to aerodynamics. They can pack more, smaller spaces, with much more air shielding, you know. A lot of wind. Wow. Good view though. Motorcycles have it harder than cars because motorcycles are smaller, so you've got to hide all the electronics and the batteries and the motors behind a little frontal area. You know, the cross section that meets the wind is very small in a motorcycle compared to a car. So for that reason, it's harder to make electric motorcycles aerodynamic, which is the reason why today in 2020 we have the Livewire and the Zeros. They're all sport bikes. They're all the sport bike shape. And that's because of aerodynamics. You know, they need to be that way in order to get even decent range out of them. And part of that problem is battery tech, but aerodynamics is a huge part of that. Once battery tech gets good enough, you know, to the point where, and this is going to happen, you know, it'll be to the point where you can charge your bike overnight, ride for 600 miles or more all day long, and then charge it again at nighttime when you come back home. So most people will be able to ride their electric motorcycle all day without charging and only charge it, you know, when they're home in the garage. That's going to be a reality. That's going to be the way it is. You know, battery tech will get to that point. Again, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when now. So once battery tech is that good, the aerodynamics matter less because the batteries will have enough energy density and power to push through the wind and still have good range. So for now, aerodynamics matters because of the crappy battery tech. In time, it'll matter a lot less. So you'll see electric adventure bikes, electric touring bikes, electric Harleys, you know, with a traditional Harley shape and look. So battery tech will, in effect, make aerodynamics less of an issue. Now the third reason is economies of scale. What that means is manufacturing techniques and principles. When you're building stuff for mass manufacturing, the more you build, the cheaper it becomes to make those things. That has to do with minimizing setup time and, you know, minimizing tool and die changes. It's always more cost effective to make more of something than less of something. So that's where Tesla is really killing it right now, because Tesla, their factories are incredible. I mean, their factory tech is almost better than the car tech, to be honest, and that's going to be Tesla's big advantage in the EV industry. You know, they'll be able to mass produce their cars much more cost effective and sell them at lower prices than the competition will. Now when it comes to electric motorcycles, no one's really mass producing them right now. Harley made the Livewire, but they're not mass producing it. You know, it's in low volume because Harley doesn't have much confidence in it, which at the price point they're selling it, yeah, I can't blame them. It's too expensive for what it is. Zero does a little better. Zero only makes electric motorcycles, so they're putting all their effort into it. But there's still fairly low volume production. I mean, the market is still small for electric motorcycles, so they don't have the demand to make, you know, tens of thousands of Zeros per year. Now, if they were, they could make their motorcycles a lot more cost effective at lower prices and sell them for cheaper to the customer. For right now, no one's bothering to do it because, again, battery tech is holding it back, and then the aerodynamics means more, and there's not much of a market now for electric motorcycles just yet, because the tech isn't good enough. But once it is good enough and the market opens up, EV bikes will cross a threshold where they're cheaper to buy than gas-powered motorcycles. And that's going to happen because it's happening with Tesla now. Tesla's new battery cell, the 4680 cell, will be cheaper to, well, okay, when it comes to battery tech, there's a threshold that the EV industry's been trying to cross for the past, for decades now. It's a $100 per kilowatt hour threshold. For the past few decades, batteries have been more expensive than that. Tesla's batteries have typically been around the 110, 120 kilowatt per hour range, which means Teslas cost more. They're more expensive to produce than gas-powered cars, which is why Teslas cost more than their gas counterparts. But with the 4680 cell, that's changing. Tesla's going to be able to produce the battery cell with enough energy density that it will be more like $60 per kilowatt hour. Possibly less than that. We don't know the exact numbers yet for what Tesla's battery is going to be like, but we have their minimum specs they've released, which is very promising. So Tesla's going to cross that gas-powered threshold. They will sell for less money than the gas counterparts in the next year or two. That's happening. Now, once the industry catches up, the EV industry with electric motorcycles, and once battery tech is more widespread to that degree, again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it happens. It's happening now. We're going through this generational improvement in batteries, so it will happen. And once it does, once electric motorcycles, once someone produces them in large enough quantities, once someone starts mass producing them, and when the battery tech gets good enough, they will start mass producing electric motorcycles. I mean, they're going to, because for the very reason they're going to sell for less than their gas counterparts. You'll be able to buy an electric Goldwing for less than a gas-powered Goldwing. Now, I know today in 2020 that sounds crazy, but it's going to happen. It's happening. It's coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's on its way. And once EV motorcycles cross that threshold and they cost less to buy than the gas counterparts, they will sell like crazy. People will buy them as much as they can make them. You'll see all the bike companies mass producing electric motorcycles because they'll be in that big a demand. Because with an electric motorcycle, you have no oil changes, no coolant changes, there's no spark plugs, there's very few parts to an electric motorcycle. Some electronics in the motors. And other than that, that's it. There's very little maintenance to electric vehicles. So once they're practical, cost-effective, and cheaper than the gas counterparts, electric bikes will be everywhere. You'll see most motorcycle manufacturers transitioning over to electric bikes in the next 5 or 10 years. Now, there'll be some that stay with the gas engines because there will still be a market for that. A lot of people, motorcycles are different than cars, where they're more like luxury items, I guess. People buy them more for the enjoyment than for transportation. There's a definite market for that. So, but they'll be minimal. They'll be the exception, not the rule, because the majority of vehicles will be electric in the next 5 to 10 years, and that includes motorcycles. I know right now in 2020 it might sound kind of crazy, but that's the direction the market is heading. The numbers are showing, that's what the statistics are pointing to. So given that electric motorcycles are coming in the near future, my question to you, the viewer, is how do you feel about that? Are you looking forward to electric motorcycles? Do you want one? Are you against them? Do you want your bikes to stay gas powered, forever? Myself, my personal opinion, I'm all for it. I've been riding this Goldwing for 2 years, and there's no clutch here, so this Goldwing rides a lot like an electric motorcycle will ride. So I'm all for electric motorcycles. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great concept. I think they make sense. Less maintenance, less to break down, more reliable. Eventually they'll have ranges where you can ride all day long on one charge. I want a touring bike that's electric with at least 300 to 400 miles range. When that happens, that'll be the point where I start looking at them seriously. Basically I want a Goldwing that's electric with 300 to 400 miles range. Once I have that, yeah, I'll probably be getting one. And that's only a couple years away. Probably like 5 years. The bike industry will lag behind the auto industry to a degree, but definitely in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's happening, it's coming. So yeah, I'm all for electric motorcycles. I can't wait to buy one. I mean, yeah, I love gas engines too, but I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for the next thing. I'm ready for change. And I hate change. Well, no, that's okay. Let me clarify. I used to hate change. I mean, I used to really hate change, but the older I get, like solar panels, I'm buying those next year. The older I get, the more welcoming of change I am. And electric motorcycles, count me in. I want one. Not a live wire. I'm not paying 35 grand for a bike that gets 60 miles hot range on the highway. I'm not doing that. But once I get buy a bike that gets 300 miles range on the highway or more, most definitely sign me up. So let me know down in the comments how you feel about electric motorcycles. Are you for them? Are you against them? Do you look forward to them? Do you dread them? Do you want one? Do you never want one? I have an idea we're gonna get some pretty mixed opinions on the whole subject. And that's okay, Like I said, gas-powered bikes won't be going away. There'll be less of them. There'll be, a lot less than there are today. That's definite. But I think gas-powered bikes will stay around too. I think they'll still be available for those who want them. For at least the next decade or two. Long term, they're probably going away for good. But that's changed. The one constant in this universe is change. Change is always happening. You can't stop it. You can fight it, you can resist it, but change is going to happen whether you want it to or not, in some way or another. Alright, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, ride safe. Enjoy your gas motorcycles while you can. And see you next time.